Here is Kevin Kennedy and Rich Herrera with an Inside the Dugout quick fix.
You always look to see the carnage that was left over by the last person that left. So you're there to clean up their mess. So as you walk in, what were some of the things that you saw that you had to change that were the leftover DNA from Bobby V being in Texas before you got there?
Well, I saw that they had a pretty good core, but they didn't have a lot of pitching. Now, that's not Bobby's fault necessarily. That was just a philosophy of the organization. They had a lot of power hitters.
What about the culture?
I think one year they finished second. It might have been his early years. But that was one thing that I did try to address because I came from a winning organization in the Dodgers system, even though I hadn't managed in the big leagues. I came from a very strong background and organization, and that's one of the reasons that I was hired by Tom Grieve and George Bush. And they wanted me to develop a winning culture in the clubhouse and on the field. But I will tell you, I think the first thing that hit me is that there were a bunch of cliques in the clubhouse. In other words, there might be 5 or 6 guys from Latin countries in one area.
Right.
And they all hung together. And then there were people that didn't belong in the clubhouse that had nothing to do with the ball club. And I didn't see any diversity in the clubhouse. I saw a lot of separation. Now, I'm not saying that was Bobby. I don't know. But what I do know is I learned this in the minor leagues, and I learned it from Red Adams, and I learned it from Tommy Lasorda, and I learned it from the Dodger organization about mixing it up in the clubhouse. In other words, so I didn't want a bunch of cliques in the clubhouse. So Number one, I got rid of all the entourages. In those days, we used to say, Julio Franco had an entourage. Jose Canseco had an entourage. And all these people were in the clubhouse right during game time and right before the game. And I didn't understand that. So I told Tom Grieve, I want to get rid of that. And that's going to be one. So I had the players and myself and the coaches, the core players, make up team rules. And I had them get involved in that because in that way they knew that, hey, you guys signed off on this because you were part of it.
You have ownership.
You have ownership. You own it. And it did the same thing in Boston. And that philosophy worked.
Inside the Dugout with Kevin Kennedy and Rich Herrera can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and RadioInfluence.com.